Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is my buddy Chuck Mead. He's going to talk about the time that his band BR549 got to tour with the Black Crowes.
BR, we were unique in the sense that one night we'd be playing a show with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, opening up for them somewhere. And then we'd play some weird county fair somewhere. And then we'd open up for George Jones. And then we were opening up for the Black Crowes. You know, same era, but within months of each other. We did a couple of different tours with them. It was so great. Talk about a great fucking rock band. Fantastic. I would stand next to Eddie. Eddie was a keyboard player. But I would stand, and Shaw and I, our drummer Shaw and I, would stand by his Leslie just to listen and then watch Gorman play drums. Because it was my favorite thing to do every night. And it was great. You know, we're into a lot of the same stuff. And so we spent a lot of time hanging out, and we got to be pretty good friends. And and it was weird because we were thinking, well, how does their crowd react to a hillbilly band playing it in front of them? But it was great. And we had a lot of their fans that would come to our shows. That they saw us at the Black Crowes, they got into it, and they'd come to all of our shows too. And they have a very loyal fan base, especially at the time. But we never faced any sort of like pushback except in Las Vegas. There were like 3 guys standing right in front of us. We played the Joint in Las Vegas, the old Hard Rock. It's not there anymore. I don't think that the venue's there, but it's a different hotel now. There were 3 guys standing right up in front, and they were all just doing this our whole set. So like the second to the last song, I said, hey, these 3 guys down here give us Las Vegas howdy. So I'll just say howdy right back. And I mean, everybody was like, and even those guys liked it. So by the end, we won those guys over too. But we spent a lot of time and, you know, on each other's buses and getting to be friends. I love Chris. The last time he played on his solo, I went backstage and hung out with him. Very good camaraderie. Well, then we got a call because I think Chris called Gary. We met Kate. We were playing with Merle Haggard at the Irving Plaza in New York. There was a knock on our door, and it's Kate Hudson on our bus. And she had this little dog, and she and Chris come up on the bus, and they're like, "We want you guys to play our wedding." Okay, yeah, we'll do that. That's cool. And they said, it'll be a big party. We're going to do it in Colorado and everything. They were saying that they wanted us to play not only the reception, but they wanted us to play during the ceremony as people are walking up. But kind of like, you ever see this movie called The Long Riders? It was made in 1980, and it has the Carradine brothers play the Youngers, and the Keach brothers play Frank and Jesse James. And, you know, they got great film. Ry Cooder did all the music. So that's fantastic. But that's what Chris said. We kind of want like that Ry Cooder vibe from, you know, as we're walking down the aisle. And, you know, those guys, I don't think Donnie and Gary had ever seen that movie. I don't think Jay had seen it either. But it's one of my favorites because I ran it as a projectionist. So I saw it like a whole lot of times because it's one of my favorite films of all time. So I kind of knew what they were talking about, but we went to a truck stop and got, we'll get a video cassette of it. So we slipped it in the back of the bus to watch it. And it was a different movie. It was a movie called Dead Presidents, which is a great movie too, but it doesn't have anything to do with the Long Riders or like, you know, that kind of 19th century string band music. So I had to, you know, and back then I didn't have a cassette of it. I only had a vinyl copy. We didn't have a record player on the bus. But anyway, eventually we worked out something what we were doing. So it got to be the day of the wedding, and it was kind of cold outside. It was snowy because it was New Year's Eve. With the sound company that we hired was a high school buddy of mine, has a big sound company that goes all over the Midwest. And it was kind of cool because Jay was there with us, you know, running, you know, he had the big sound company. All his guys were working. It got to be that day and it was kind of cold. And there we are standing. They have this big, you know, sort of trellis and the ceremony was performed by an Indian shaman. I thought it was great, but we were up there just freezing our asses off, playing the string music as they were walking down the aisle. It was very beautiful. And Kurt Russell and Goldie were really nice people. They are really, truly, genuinely nice, good people, was my vibe that I got off of them. And, the dinner the night before was really great. That's where we kind of got acquainted. And I just couldn't stop thinking about, Kurt Russell. And he was Elvis, man, but he was Snake Plissken too. And he was also Big Trouble in Little China, is one of my favorite films of all time. Everybody relax. I'm here. So, back up. We're in the ceremony now. We're playing, and it's just freezing our ass off. And Gorman's sitting right there in the front. But the ceremony ended, and then we went to another place where they had the reception. And the ceremony was pretty small. It was just a few select people, and I felt really flattered and proud that they asked us to play for their wedding. That's a big deal. And we played for a lot of weddings. But, that was a little more star-studded than your usual. So we go to the reception, and that was a slam ham. Everybody stayed up late and played. Goldie got up on stage and sang some Dolly Parton song with us that we really didn't know, but we faked it. And then Kurt got up and sang an Elvis song. It was fantastic. And then, they gave us like nice hat and scarves, for wintertime, and which I still have, I still use. Very nice. The next day, Kate and Chris were off, being married, but we got invited over to their house, to Goldie and Kurt's house, to have elk stew. This elk that Kurt had killed. She's making elk stew on New Year's Day, where I get this nice hug and kiss New Year's Day from Goldie Hawn. I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? But the guitars came out. We were watching football on TV. It's fantastic. It was just like very cozy. Meanwhile, our bus had broken down because the battery had run down the night before. So our tour manager and Cowboy Keith, our sound engineer, they had to deal with that. So they didn't get to go to Kurt and Goldie's house like the rest of us did. We were the artist. But I just remember, the guitars came out and we were all singing stuff. But there was one point where I was sitting there just with Kurt Russell singing, "The candy-coated clown they call the Sandman tiptoes through my room every night." I mean, he knew all the words. And so we sang it together. That's no one can take that shit away from me, because I still admire those people. I think they're really good people, and I think they're great actors. I really do. I enjoy their work, I'm a 3-time Grammy loser, but I had a New Year's Day experience with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. You know what I mean?